Good morning and happy Thanksgiving. I've just come in from the cold outdoors from my annual turkey hunt. Don't think ill of me. Even though I did land a big one, it is catch and release in Livermore, so he's off and running, I suppose. But what if I did? Once I've come inside to sit by the roaring fire with my trusty border collie at my feet, having achieved the biggest turkey we could find and let him go. What if, while he's chewing on the bone, of course, no turkey bones for dogs, you know, I hear a at the door. I go and open, and there is Mr. Turkey Lurkey. He's there to thank me. He's there to thank me for the reprieve. And I think, why shouldn't I be Thanksgiving-y and invite him in for a drink? And I say, would you like to come in? And all he can say is, he knows what I mean. I know what he means. And soon he's joining me by the fire for a drink. Turkeys don't really do wine, I've learned. They prefer a stiff one, a stiff drink, that is. And it's maybe kind of like being brined. Anyway, what I love to drink this time of the year and what I was sharing with Mr. Turkey Lurkey just a couple of minutes ago, not this early in the morning, I know, I'm just making all this shit up, was a Manhattan. A Manhattan is a lovely thing to have during the cold time of the year. I'm taking these off, they're fogging up. I kind of switched from my gin martinis. I've told you this before, but I'm repeating myself because I want to tell you about this product, this very American product, that would be a main ingredient, an ideal main ingredient in your Manhattan. I'm going to take this off too. I'm getting warm. Let's say that this rye whiskey, Savage and Cook, is ideal because it's very, very American. In fact, it's very, very local. If you want a local product, unusually local for a rye whiskey, choose this. Choose it also because it's great, and choose it because it makes a fantastic Manhattan. We've said before that we recommend rye and not necessarily bourbon for Manhattans because bourbons only add to the sweetness that the sweet red vermouth is already giving it. That big red syrupy cherry is already giving it. And so why not offset those sweet qualities with a rye? Rye whiskey is a little more spicy. Rye has to be made of 51% rye, and this particular one is, I think, far more than that. It has that beautiful spiciness offsetting the sweetness, and the cool thing, once again, is it's local. This is made in Vallejo, California, just north of us, and it's made from grains, not from Timbuktu, but from within 50 miles away, probably in the Sacramento Valley, I would guess. And it is finished in American oak barrels. Actually, it is aged in American oak barrels, then finished in repurposed Grenache barrels, barrels that used to be inhabited by Grenache, somewhere around here. And so everything's local, 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 feel good. And this made Turkey Lurkey and me feel very, very good. We became old pals. Let him go out the back or front door, and maybe we'll meet again next year. Who knows? I wish him well. That's it about that rye. Let's also say that, you know, in our spirit section right now, we've just achieved this. Now, many of you attend the games. Where's the front label on this thing? There it is. Not that I can pronounce this name because it's Gaelic, Scottish Gaelic. This is, in fact, a beautiful Scotch that many of you enjoyed at the games. That would be the Scottish games that happen in Pleasanton at the fairgrounds every year. The most attended, I think, supposedly the biggest Scottish games in the US, if not the world, happens there. And many of you visited a booth where there was a Scotch tasting. I've been told by the provider of all of the Scotches that he was pouring that day at that booth that this was your favorite. So if you recognize it, come on in and get it. If you don't, let me just tell you that it's really nice and smooth and easy drinking Scotch. You can do it straight, and I think you should. Maybe just like one block of ice or just a dab of water, and you are there with this Scotch. That is part of our spirit section downstairs. Check it out. It's the time of the year to kind of restock that cabinet, isn't it? So think about getting into this. Do not ask me to pronounce it. Let's tell you about a couple of food items that have just come in. Katiana and the staff have been doing beautiful reels lately on Instagram per this. I want to get this a little higher for you. Let's lean it. No, that's not going to work. Anyway, I didn't really set this up very well, but look at this. This is quality panettone from Italy. And there are several varieties from this beautiful brand down there, and I invite you to check them out because they are delicious on their own. They're delicious with Tintero Moscato di Asti, as imported by Kermit Lynch, which we sell. We have it back in the store. And one thing not everybody knows, in fact, few people know or even try to do this, but this makes bitchin' French toast. I guess you should call it Italian toast, right? But this is a beautiful brand for panettone. If anything, at the end of the evening, when you're not in the mood for like really, really heavy desserts, but you'd like a little something sweet, cube this up. Keep it in a Ziploc bag or something, and it'll stay fresh for probably all of December, and you can return it time after time and have sweet little cubes of panettone. Right on. Beautiful packaging too. What a nice gift. It's all ready to give somebody. Let's tell you about one other food item, and without my platform, I am going to have to keep using this seashell. All right, that's a new one. Look what we just got in. Remember the event we did, 2 Fridays ago? That big raclette festival where somebody came in with a very fancy overhead burner, kind of a broiler, where he was melting the top of half a wheel of raclette, scraping off that melty top onto bread, onto potatoes, onto this and that. And we were having terrific wines alongside. Raclette is a great winter tradition, especially in Switzerland and parts of France. And we wanted to let you who really enjoy that know that you can go try this at home. You could put this under a broiler in the oven. You could use a microwave. How about a blow dryer? Figure out some innovative way to get the top melted so that you could do the scrape off, scrape off, scrape off. The main thing is leave your windows and doors open because this is a smelly thing to do. And you will realize it the next morning if you did not properly ventilate. But this is one of those really interestingly smelly washed rind cheeses from Switzerland, and now we have it at the Wine Steward. Check out our raclette. It's in the cheese box downstairs up front. Now, with Thanksgiving coming up, I would like to say Happy Thanksgiving one more time in a video. I'll probably be doing it with a couple more reels and posts and such, and so will the rest of the staff. But cheers, Happy Thanksgiving, and why don't I show you what, in fact, I am enjoying here. This is a very open bottle of, whoop, that's the price, as you saw, perhaps. The price is low. Why don't we just lean this down a little bit? Boom, there, voila. You don't need to see my whole head. Anyway, Ruhlmann Cremant d'Alsace is our sparkling wine of the week at our wine bar. It is also a prime recommendation to those of you who are having hordes of people over for Thanksgiving for your Thanksgiving opening ceremonies, in that it is inexpensive. This is Cremant d'Alsace. Cremant. What does Cremant mean? Well, Cremant is an attribution to a wine region making sparkling wine somewhere in France, and I think there's one region in Luxembourg that can call itself Cremant as well. Anyway, all of these places are making sparkling wine like champagne, cannot use the term champagne because they are not in Champagne. So the term that they collectively use is Cremant. Cremant from, or de, somewhere. Cremant d'Alsace is Cremant, that sparkling wine made like champagne from Alsace. There is Cremant de Loire, there's Cremant de Bordeaux, yeah, Cremant de Bourgogne or Burgundy, and so on. This Ruhlmann is using, I believe, Pinot Gris, Auxerrois, and Pinot Blanc. Don't quote me on that, but what I can tell you is that this will be a welcome bubbly in the hands of anybody. Why? Because even though it's dry, it's a brut, it and other Alsace Cremants like it are known for having a beautiful fruit quality, and that's really what we're gonna value throughout the Thanksgiving festivities, is wines that are perhaps dry, but fruit forward, and certainly not yeasty or oaky or buttery. I just think we last longer if we are drinking fresher white wines and even red wines on Thanksgiving. So let's use that as the segue, besides telling you that this is the sparkling wine of the week. The segue to what is going on in the wine bar. Every one of these wines is recommended as a Thanksgiving wine. Yes, this is the 4th week that we are doing this. The menu got published yesterday. Some of you came in and enjoyed. We want to see more of you before Thanksgiving. And this will go through Sunday, by the way. So we are going to keep this going for the, let's say, the leftovers. How about that? White Wine Flight. I told you about this wine, I believe, on Instagram last week, but now everybody gets to try it if they sign up for the White Wine Flight. This is from a producer called JM or Jean-Marie. Berthier. This is a producer in Sancerre, and the gentleman makes Sancerre, but he also makes a less expensive wine. That would be this. That includes Sancerre fruit, here we go, Puy Fumé fruit, Coteau de Ginois, and Manitou Salon fruit. All of those great Sauvignon Blanc places are incorporated in this one bottling. This is great stuff. And the other great thing is, once again, if you have a lot of people coming over and Sancerre is a little too expensive to pour, this costs about $10 less than entry-level Sancerre. So get in on this J.M. Berthier. Even if you are buying some Sancerre as well, you would appreciate this. It's easily as good as entry-level Sancerre. Check it out. That's wine number 1 on the flight. I promise not to talk as long about all of these, but these are all interesting wines and great for Thanksgiving. This is from a producer called Lasserat, isn't it? Lasserat, I believe. No, that's the other guy. This is Themis, T-H-E-M-I-S, Themis. The more important thing to know is it comes from, I think the most interesting thing about wine is where it comes from. This comes from a place called Bouzeron. Bouzeron in Burgundy, France. Bouzeron, as a white wine, you would expect it perhaps to be Chardonnay because you know enough about Burgundy to know that the white stuff is Chardonnay. Well, it's usually Chardonnay. And in fact, Bouzeron is one area where you can only use that name on Burgundy's other white grape, Aligoté. This is a great one. It probably saw a little barrel because I can smell comfort in the nose, and it's clean in the mouth as Aligoté should be. It's a fun thing to try, and it's a fun thing to have with Thanksgiving dinner. Fun thing to talk about. Now, this is, in my opinion, one of the ultimate Thanksgiving wines. This is a Viognier from the northern Rhone of France. It's homeland. And this particular Viognier, and many like it from this area, are not over the top. When we make this grape or render this grape here in California, it can be really rich and oily, maybe too much of a good thing. This is enough of a good thing and not too much. You'll want to have second sips, maybe second glasses. Very refreshing Viognier with that beautiful nose and finally some acidity in the mouth instead of over-the-top oiliness. Really nice stuff from Yves Colleron in the northern Rhone. The next white will be a Grenache Blanc from closer to home. If you're feeling like Thanksgiving being an American holiday, you should be drinking the domestic stuff. We applaud that. This is from Unti, just north of us by maybe an hour and a half in the Dry Creek Valley. Unti is a maker of everything good, and I think it's because they farm everything that they render into wine. Yes, everything is estate grown at Unti. They drop a lot of fruit so that the fruit remaining on the vine is more intense in flavor. And that certainly happens with this beautiful Grenache Blanc, one of California's best renderings of that grape. A lot of stone fruit, very lush, a little more mouth-filling than that Viognier over there, but not in an oily way. Once again, it's lush, like melon and tree fruit lushness. All right, the final wine on the flight is, don't run away, it's a Riesling. Now, we're not putting it at the end of the flight because it's sweet, and it's not. This is not sweet Riesling. This is very dry Riesling from the Columbia Valley of Washington State. Why, in fact, are we putting it at the end of the white flight? Because it's overt in its attitude. It has such a beautiful nose that you can't really go back to these other wines after having this. So, try this great wine called Poet's Leap from the Columbia Valley. It's part of the Long Shadows project that we tell you about frequently because we're very married to that idea. And we really love what Washington does with Riesling. Riesling is, in fact, Washington State's second most planted white grape. Did you know that? They do that for a reason because it just does very well there. Poet's Leap, dry Riesling, check it out. This is the driest vintage, in my opinion, ever, of a wine that we've been following for many, many years. Now, there's a couple of wines that we're doing only by the glass, but they are also very well suited for Thanksgiving dinner. So hopefully you'll be inspired to have a glass and take home a bottle. This is, I hear the back door, so I gotta rush this. I'm not gonna be able to tell you about all the reds. This is a Puy Fusé. Puy Fusé comes from the southernmost part of Burgundy. This is in fact Chardonnay. We are no longer having an Aligoté, but now a nice white Burgundy that has the weight of sunshine, the sun-filled Macon area, a little warmer down there, but still has limestone soils. Therefore, this wine is big and yet energetic. Great stuff. The other wine by the glass, Rath Pinot Noir, delicious stuff, backed by popular demand. We've been showing this to you at the wine bar recently, but you guys like it, you know this name, and we bought a hell of a lot of it, so we have to show it to you. You know what? I'm gonna tell you about 2 more wines. How about that? This is the last wine in the red flight. Since I have to go down and receive some product, I'm going to surprise you with many of the wines in the flight this week by showing you wines that you might not have thought were Thanksgiving wines. One is a Sangiovese, for instance. Two of them are Syrahs. Did you think Syrah would work with Thanksgiving dinner? These two would. Finally, a Nebbiolo. Don't you think Nebbiolo from Piedmont, Italy would be too tannic for the Thanksgiving feast? Not this one. This is Conterno Nebbiolo, and it is from the Langhe region within Piemonte, Italy. It's beautiful. It's more fruit forward, more easygoing, and it's by Aldo Conterno, and a lot of people know who that is. A lot of followers of Piemonte worship that name. You're going to love this wine for its nice price. Finally, a Pinot Noir that showed up. A Pinot Noir that showed up a little late for it to appear on our top 10 wines of Thanksgiving. This should be on our shelf all year long. I'm reminded to bring it in every Thanksgiving. This is beautiful mountain, Santa Cruz Mountains, Pinot Noir. Very beautiful stuff that you got to check out. That guy keeps ringing the bell. I'm going downstairs. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.